Morning. My name is Chris Bory, I'm the Director of Development at Brook Lane. And it's my honor this morning to introduce Mr. Bill Hunsberger. He is a retired clinical social worker, starting his career at Brook Lane in 1961, and then moving into private practice from 1978 to 1995. And in recent years, Bill took up the sport of pickleball, which I don't know if we'll talk about or not, but we'll have to wait and see. And has risen to national prominence, winning multiple gold medals at its national senior games. Bill is also a United States Army veteran, and we thank him and those in attendance today for their service as Veterans Day approaches, and we honor those who are serving our nation. Bill has graciously provided the funding for this event over the past 3 years, and we are grateful for his support. His desire to see this event come to fruition was born out of the loss of his wife Sylvia in 2020. And it is now that I would like to welcome Bill to share some more about his journey as a caregiver. Thank you, Bill.
So I'd like to thank Chris and Julie and the Brook Lane Foundation for sponsoring this event. This is the third year that you're doing it, and I recently watched a Yogi Berra movie on Netflix about his life. Anybody knows Yogi Berra? He was full of different sayings, and he had one that I thought fit for today. It's he said, "It's deja vu all over again." I don't know. I thought that was funny. Anyhow, he also had to say like, "If there's a fork in the road, take it." So I came face to face with becoming a caregiver as a result of Sylvia's developing Alzheimer's, and that would have been probably in 2013. When someone starts with an illness like Alzheimer's, you don't really know exactly when it starts until later on when you begin to put together what was happening. But at some point along the way, you get the message that you have become a caretaker, and you have to decide, is this for you or not? And of course, when it's your wife who took care of you for many, many years, you have no choice but to go and be there for her. So it's an adventure that I don't think you're really trained for. Having been a clinical social worker for 38 years, can you hear me okay back there? I thought I was ready for this, but as you go along, you realize that there's really not much training for being a caregiver, and there's a lot to it. And if you volunteer for it, it's one thing, but if you get sort of sucked into it, which I wasn't, I went for it. But there are families where there's only one person available, and they can't afford to pay somebody, so they get drafted into it, and it's kind of extra hard for them because part of them doesn't want to be there, but they know they have to be there. So that makes life a lot more difficult. It's difficult enough when you really want to do it. So there are a number of reasons why someone might need a caregiver, but they all come down to the need for help in order to live. Some people will, through rehab, be able to make it back to live alone again. However, many will end up continuing to decline, and so they will continue to need somebody in order for them to live. So becoming a caregiver will be an educational experience. Depending on the person's difficulties, you will be learning about mobility issues, bodily functions, and the emotional health of this person. One thing you will need for sure is a good sense of humor. No matter what the problem is, there will be times when you have to laugh. I told a couple stories. I told them last year. and I'm hoping that maybe some of you are having memory problems and you won't remember them, or weren't paying attention. But anyhow, we used to hide a key by our back door so that every time you went somewhere and came back, you didn't have to get the key out. You just reached down and took it off a hook. Well, of course, Sylvia knew about that too. And so as she got into her illness more, there was one time I had to go out to the garage, which was 50 feet away, and I came back, and the door's locked. So I reached down to get the key, and the key wasn't there. So, so I looked over, and Sylvia had taken the key, and she was inside laughing. So what I took out of it was that she was telling me she's still in control. Another story is, when you become a caretaker, you have to take care of the total person. And one thing is, it comes down to hygiene, bathing, and so on. Well, nobody ever taught me how to wash somebody else. I mean, okay, I've been in the shower washing a woman, but it wasn't caretaking, okay? It was different. All right, that's true. But anyway, this is a different situation. So we're in the shower, and we're all soaked up. And Sylvia's, she was dehydrated, which I didn't realize. But the hot water was just making it worse. And all of a sudden, she just sagged right down to the floor. I'm thinking, did you ever try to pick up somebody dead weight? Number one. How about two people who have soap all over them? And for a second I thought, man, I'm going to have to call 911 and tell them I got two nudes down the shower. So anyhow, I found a way to get her up, but they're the challenges that you're going to run into. You also learn how important other people can be in helping you through these times. For me, I hired a part-time caregiver, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, which gave me time to go to the YMCA, play pickleball, and do other things. Being with other people was a life-saving event for me, and I think it would be for you. Being with other people is so important. If you think you can do it alone and you pull back, that will be your demise. I got involved with hospice about 5 months prior to her passing. I used to think hospice was strictly a place, that they just help you die. But they were more than that, and they were very helpful in terms of the people that they would send to the home. Nurse, social worker, pastor, and you could use them as much as you wanted. My favorite one really was my nurse, Cassie Day. She was fantastic. She would help me with any number of special problems that would come up for Sylvia, like eating, swallowing, constipation, etc. I started thinking I was becoming a nurse, and so a quick story on regarding constipation. If you heard before, just close your ears. So Sylvia was constipated for 5 days. I called Cassie. I said, Cassie, we have to do something. Sylvia's blocked. He's put on blocker. So she came out and she put her glove on, took her in the bathroom, unblocked her. So that was great. But the trouble was 5 days later, she was just as constipated as she was the last time. So I called up Cassie. I said, Cassie, she's blocked again. What are we going to do? She said, Bill, put a glove on and go for it. So the really hard part is when your loved one reaches a point where staying in your home is too dangerous, and you have to place them in a more protected health facility. No one wants to give up on taking care of your loved one, but there may be a time that it is the best. So in closing, because Chris told me I belabored it last year to talk too long, he said, anyhow, I have some suggestions that come from me and my experience in dealing with Alzheimer's. Number one, maintain as many relationships with others as possible. Be honest with them about what is happening. Number two, get medical help. Seek all medical specialists recommended. Also, using Dr. Google can be helpful. Learning about swallowing problems was very important to me because she had problems swallowing for the last 3 years of her life. She also couldn't talk, so life was a little rough. But you learn about how choking can happen and what you need to do to try to prevent it if you can. Number three, maintain or start an exercise program for yourself. It will help you deal with stress and it'll get you out with other people. Number four, don't feel you can do it all yourself. Allow yourself to accept outside help. You did not fail. Your problems just become more than one person could handle. Number five, be aware that what was once a safe place could now be a very dangerous place for your loved one to live in. And that is so true. At some point, doing steps gets to be really dangerous, and you tend to push it until there's a fall. And the last thing you want is a broken hip or bones when you're a caregiver. Number six, religion, I think, and for some people, religion and faith is a very strong element in getting through something like this. So if you are religious, you should work on that and go for it. If someone is confined to a wheelchair, then make sure they have enough room to move the wheelchair around wherever they're living. I know I could have an example of someone who they moved and the wheelchair was too big and they couldn't move around, so they had to renovate, actually take out a few walls to make it work. Number 8, I don't know how, I'm gonna have to work on this one. Try to keep a sense of humor. Number 9, be a caregiver. Being a caregiver is like riding a roller coaster. You will have ups and downs. For most, involving other people will offer much comfort. So my main message today is to be with other people and be open. And thank you.